I gotta tell you, this is like, you know, geekery for people who love boats. I just love this place.
Hi, I'm Joe, and welcome to Motor City Boat Works. Let's get to work.
All work and no play makes Joe a dull boy. That's right. I've traveled away from the boat works all the way to Bilbao. I'm on the coast of northern Spain. Some people like trains, others like airplanes or cars. My thing is boats. Today we're going to be touring the Maritime Museum in Bilbao, Spain. I hope you stick with me.
So the name of the museum is the Itzas Museum Bilbao. ITSAS, but it doesn't actually stand for anything. It's the name of the museum itself, and the reason they chose that is because of the location on the docks here. The museum is all about the maritime history and the things that are going on the Bay of Biscay. Maritime trades and maritime history is so important to Bilbao that this museum is really quite popular. It's a relatively new museum. It's only about 15 years old. It gets about 1 million visitors a year. This place is massive. It's got both an indoor and an outdoor museum area. All total, it's about 290,000 square feet. They have exhibits that are often rotating on the inside, outside. There are numerous ships that are in dry dock. You can get up close and check them out. Tickets cost €7 per person. The exhibits are always changing. They kind of rotate and they add new things.
I want to tell you one of the great things about this museum. You know, a lot of time nautical maritime museums, they'll have one or two boat or boat replicas inside, and they don't really give a lot of technical information about the boats or about seafaring. This museum I find to be a little bit different. It really has some quality information. It's a little bit old school. You've got to read kind of what's going on, but it's got some great information and really interesting things to see.
They really do a pretty good job of explaining some of the concepts and equipment and things that are used on the boats. One of the rotating exhibits is about Robinson Crusoe and stories of being shipwrecked or surviving at sea.
One of my favorite books was recommended to me by my father. It's called Adrift by Stephen Callahan, a sailor whose sailboat sank underneath him while he was trying to cross the Atlantic Ocean. He abandoned ship in the middle of the night and then spent 76 days adrift in the ocean in a small life raft, just like the one you see behind me. It's a real story of grit and determination. Personally, it's probably one of the most inspiring memoirs that I've ever read. This particular exhibit is about a Spanish smuggler whose ship sunk and he was adrift for just 10 days and made it to an island.
This is not just a museum about old boats. They've done a really nice job of kind of connecting the past to the present and the future, the history of Bilbao as a seafaring port, what it was before and what it's become today, and its importance in kind of the global trade system. You don't often see this kind of well-rounded information covering everything from the boats themselves to the equipment, to some of the technology of the times, some of the concepts of the maritime trades, as well as all the history and how everything kind of connects together.
I gotta tell you, this is like, you know, geekery for people who love boats. I just love this place. It's like going to a locomotive museum or something like that, but for a boat guy. What a great museum, really cool exhibits.
I just want to take a moment and say, if you enjoy this channel, if you get what I'm doing at Motor City Boat Works, do me a favor and subscribe, hit the like button, and spread the word about Motor City Boat Works. This channel would not be possible without your support. Thank you.
One of the most interesting exhibits has to be this multimedia presentation that talks about the life of shipping container from a factory in Spain to the port of Bilbao and how it's shipped around the world and ultimately arrives at its destination for retail sale. All this is juxtaposed against the trading history of the town going back hundreds of years. The outside of the museum is actually made up of refurbished dry docks from the late 1960s. This is where they have about a half a dozen different boats that you can take a look at. All these boats have a unique history, and that's why they're on display. If you're into boats, it really doesn't matter whether it's commercial or recreational. I find that the line is often blurred between the two, and you can really learn something from studying the designs of one and how they were applied to the other. This thing here is a 60-foot aluminum sailboat. It was raced in 1993 in the Vendée Globe Regatta. This is a single-handed round-the-world race. It traveled more than 27,000 nautical miles. This is a Spanish Red Cross rescue boat from the 1980s.
You know, what's interesting about this boat, take a look at it. It's does this look familiar? To me, it looks very similar to a small trawler that's on the market today. It's called a Sea Piper 37. It has the forward cabin and then like a center cockpit with a pilot house. It's kind of interesting that the two are similar in their layout. Obviously a different hull shape.
A lot of salty dogs don't care for this design. They don't really understand, the aesthetics and how it works. I'm actually a big fan of it. I think it's a very practical layout for extended cruising. Of course, it benefits from some sort of covering on the center cockpit. It's excellent for keeping your sleeping cabin separate from where you helm the boat. I'm building a small trawler in my workshop to take around the eastern part of the United States, and I talk about some of these principles in an episode that I just did. If you haven't seen it, be sure to check it out.
Now, to get to the museum, you've got to come down here to the waterfront, and it's kind of on the lower level. They've got some boats in dry dock that you can take a look at from the outside. The museum itself is kind of hidden under this pedestrian overpass.
I think my personal favorite is this retired Spanish patrol boat. I just love the way this thing looks. I don't know if you can tell, but the hull is all wood.
Trust me when I tell you that I've been a lot of places in Europe and gone to a lot of nautical or maritime museums. This one's something special. I think it's one of the best probably in all of Europe that I've seen so far. I wanted to share it with you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're interested in the city of Bilbao and you want to learn more about it, well, check out my travel channel. Bougie and I take you all around the city and show you some interesting things to see and do and maybe eat along the way. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time. Stay motivated.